Welcome to the Broken Bayonets channel, where imagination is the weapon and every detail is a deliberate lie. You are standing in a quiet forest in France, the air thick with the smell of damp earth and pine. It's 1944. Sunlight filters through the canopy, dappling the forest floor in shifting patterns of light and shadow. But there is no peace here. In the distance, the low growl of artillery is a constant reminder of the front line. But your war is different. Your weapon isn't the rifles slung over your shoulder, it's the sketchbook in your pack and the deceptive idea taking shape in your mind. Have you ever wondered if the past is really the past, or if its ghosts still walk among us, their stories whispered on the wind? So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you find the content useful. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Share which ghost legions of World War II history you know and which historical topics fascinate you the most. Now let's go back in time and walk in the footsteps of legend. The crisp fabric of your new uniform feels alien against your skin, a world away from the paint-splattered smocks you wore just months ago at the Pratt Institute in Brooklyn. You look at your hands that once held charcoal and brushes, now gripping the cold steel of issued equipment. You are a soldier in the United States Army, yet you feel more like a stagehand in the world's most dangerous theatrical production. You belong to a unit so secret that its official designation, the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, is a masterpiece of military understatement. To the few who know of your existence, you are simply the Ghost Army. Your mission is not to fight, but to fool. You are here to conjure illusions, to craft a phantom force from rubber, sound, and sheer audacity, and to draw the enemy's gaze away from the real show. Your recruitment was unconventional, to say the least. The call didn't go out to farms and factories, but to art schools,
of light
advertising agencies, and architectural firms across America. They were looking for men who understood perspective, color theory, and the subtle art of persuasion. Men who could see a blank field, not as dirt and grass, but as a blank canvas, waiting for a masterpiece of deception. You are a small force, just over 1,000 strong, but your purpose is to appear enormous. Following the Allied breakout from Normandy, General Omar Bradley's 12th Army Group is punching its way across France. The front line is a fluid, chaotic thing, full of gaps and weak points. That's where you come in. Your job is to plug those gaps with ghosts. You arrive in the dead of night, a spectral caravan of trucks and jeeps, to a designated spot on the line. Over the next few hours, you will inflate an entire armored division, broadcast the radio chatter of thousands of men, and project the sounds of a massive troop movement across miles of countryside. You are tasked with making the German High Command believe 30,000 men are massing for an attack where, in reality, there is only you and your fellow artists. Your audience is the Wehrmacht, and they are perhaps the most demanding and deadly art critics in history. Like the meticulous detail of a stage, the Ghost Army's illusions are elaborately built layer by layer. It begins with the visual. You haul the heavy olive-drab bundles from the trucks, unrolling them on the cold ground. With the hiss of an air compressor, a flat piece of rubber transforms into a Sherman tank, complete with a turret and a 75mm cannon. It's surprisingly convincing from a distance, but up close, you can see the seams. You and your comrades hoist it into position. 4 men can lift a tank that should weigh over 30 tons. It's a strange, almost comical sight that you can never quite get used to. By dawn, you will have a fleet of them, perfectly arranged in a convincing bivouac, complete with fake tracks made by a custom-welded steel roller. You even create dummy artillery pieces and aircraft, each one a carefully crafted lie designed to be spotted by German reconnaissance planes.
Just a little bit further.
Almost there.
The secrecy surrounding your work is absolute.
Watch your step.
Your letters home are scrubbed of any detail by the censors. Even other American GIs are kept in the dark. You are often disguised as a regular signal corps or engineering unit, your true purpose hidden behind a veil of military bureaucracy. Historians will later debate the full impact of your operations, struggling to quantify the effect of an illusion on a real-world battlefield. How many German divisions were truly diverted? How many Allied lives were saved because an attack was directed at your inflatable decoys instead of real soldiers? The questions linger in a fog of war and classified documents, a mystery that won't be fully unveiled until 1996, half a century after you fold up your last rubber tank. This prolonged secrecy, officially justified to protect tactics from future adversaries, only adds to the mystique of your Phantom Legion. You are fighting an unseen war, your victories measured in the battles that don't happen, your successes buried in classified reports. For now, you are a ghost, not just to the enemy, but to your own side as well. The weight of this anonymity is a strange burden, a quiet understanding that your greatest works will likely never be signed. As you sit in the growing twilight, checking the air pressure on a rubber half-track, you reflect on the absurdity and the genius of it all. This is the ultimate form of performance art, where the stakes are life and death. Your art school professors taught you about composition and form, but they never covered how to create a convincing illusion of an armored column under the threat of an 88mm shell. It's a final project with truly explosive consequences. The air grows cold. Your first real mission is about to begin. The intelligence reports say a German panzer division is probing the area, and your orders are to convince them that a massive American force is dug in here, ready to attack. The curtain is rising. You are no longer an artist. You are a weapon of the imagination, and the show is about to begin. The night is your canvas, and the tools of your trade are shadow and sound. Your performance begins not with a bang, but with a series of carefully orchestrated whispers. You move through the darkness with practiced silence, part of a team deploying the visual components of your grand illusion. The rubbery smell of the decoys is thick in the air, a scent you now associate with deceit. You and 3 other soldiers hoist an inflatable Sherman tank, its weight a comical contradiction to the threat it represents. You place it carefully at the edge of the woods, angled just so to catch the morning light in a way that suggests a hasty but deliberate placement by a real tank crew.
Keep it still.
You learn that perfection is the enemy of believability. A perfectly aligned row of tanks looks fake, so you introduce chaos. A turret is turned slightly, a patch of fake mud is applied to a rubber tread, and one tank is even left partially deflated to mimic battle damage. A single jeep, its tires wrapped in chains, drives in looping patterns across a muddy field, creating the convincing illusion of an entire convoy's tracks. You're not just placing objects, you are telling a story, a silent narrative for the benefit of any German reconnaissance pilots who might brave the dawn sky. Once the stage is set, the symphony begins. You move to your next station, a half-track parked deep within the woods, camouflaged with netting and freshly cut branches. Mounted in its bed is the centerpiece of your sonic deception. A massive speaker, 5 feet tall, with the power to project sound for 15 miles. This isn't just a loudspeaker, it's a sophisticated audio playback system, engineered by Bell Labs, the same minds behind advancements in telephone and radio technology. Your job is that of a battlefield DJ, but your records aren't music, they are the sounds of war itself. You handle the heavy wire spools with care, each one a meticulously catalogued recording made back at Fort Knox. You have tracks for every occasion, the clatter and squeal of a column of Sherman tanks on the move, the shouts and clangs of an engineering battalion assembling a pontoon bridge, the casual conversation and arguments of resting infantrymen. Your set list for tonight is heavy on armor. It has to be. You are now part of Operation Viersen. It is March 1945, and the Allied forces are gathered at the edge of the Rhine River, the last great natural barrier into the heart of Germany. The US Ninth Army is poised to make a massive crossing, but they need a diversion. They need the Germans looking the other way. That's where you come in. Your small unit is spread thinly over a 10-mile stretch of the front, tasked with impersonating two entire armored divisions, the 30th and the 79th. You are making believe you are over 20,000 men, a ghost army holding the line while the real forces maneuver into position miles to the south. The weight of the mission is immense. If the Germans see through your ruse, if they realize the thunderous noise is coming from a handful of speakers, the Ninth Army's crossing could become a bloodbath. Your art has to be flawless. With a signal from your officer, you thread the wire recording into the machine. You turn a dial, and a low rumble fills the half-track. Through the powerful amplifier, that rumble becomes a ground-shaking roar that echoes through the valley. You mix the sounds, layering the rumble of tank engines with the intermittent screech of treads and the shouted commands of phantom officers. It is a deafening, terrifying, and utterly fake orchestra of destruction. You have to think like a composer, building the soundscape with a natural rhythm. The movement starts, then quiets, then starts again. It's a strange feeling, knowing that the hit single you're currently producing, Panzer Division Massing for Attack, is aimed directly at an audience of German artillery spotters. A well-placed sewing kit for patching the inflatable tanks is, for your purposes, far more useful than a mechanic's heavy wrench, a thought that almost makes you smile in the darkness. The final layer of your deception crackles to life in a different part of the forest. This is the domain of the radio operators, the masters of spoof radio. These men are artists in their own right. Their medium, the invisible waves of the electromagnetic spectrum. You listen in on their frequency, a world of carefully crafted fiction. They have studied the radio personalities of the real 30th and 79th Divisions, learning their call signs, their procedural quirks, their patterns of communication. Now, they are mimicking them perfectly. One operator sends a burst of Morse code, deliberately sloppy, imitating a specific telegrapher from the 79th, known for his poor fist. Another engages in banal chatter, complaining about the food, asking about mail from home, creating the texture of daily life for a division that doesn't exist. Not exactly a deep fake video, but the Ghost Army's radio spoof has a similarly creepy and disorienting effect on enemy intelligence, flooding their listening posts with convincing, contradictory, and ultimately useless information. But this performance has a terrifying, paradoxical rule. To be believed, you must be targeted. An army that makes noise and leaves tracks but never draws fire is an army that raises suspicion. So you have a few real guns, a single battery of 155mm howitzers. Periodically, you are ordered to fire a few rounds into German territory, just enough to register on their sound-ranging equipment and confirm your phantom position. The response is inevitable. The whistle of incoming shells is the most terrifying applause you will ever receive.
Feuer!
You dive into your foxhole as the German counter-battery fire rains down, the earth shaking around you. The shells shred the trees and tear deep craters into the French soil, sometimes uncomfortably close to your position. There's a chilling logic to it. The more the Germans shell your fake tanks and your roaring speakers, the more they believe the lie. You are a matador waving a red cape, inviting the bull to charge, praying that your footwork is fast enough. You are deliberately painting a bullseye on yourself to save the lives of thousands of others, a mysterious and dark form of courage that will never be mentioned in official. The war in Europe ends not with a crescendo, but with a profound and unsettling silence. The last wire recording of tank treads has been spooled and stored. The last inflatable tank has been deflated, folded, and packed away like a forgotten circus tent. The performance is over. Your grand theater of deception is closed, its actors sent home with sealed lips and memories that feel more like fever dreams than history. As you sail back across the Atlantic, the gray, churning water seems to be washing away the phantom divisions, leaving only the men who built them. You are honorably discharged, handed a uniform to keep, a medal, and a strict, legally binding order to never speak of what you did, what you saw, or what you created. The most imaginative, high-stakes, and creatively demanding work of your entire life is now a state secret. Back in civilian life, the world seems both intensely vivid and strangely muted. The colors of post-war America are bright, optimistic, a stark contrast to the mud and khaki palette of France, but you find it difficult to reconnect. How do you explain the person you've become when you can't talk about the experience that forged you? You and the other veterans of the 23rd melt back into society, each of you carrying the same invisible weight. You are ghosts of the Ghost Army, bound by a shared, unspoken narrative. You go your separate ways, but you keep track of one another, watching from a distance as the members of your secret fraternity begin to reshape the world, not with weapons, but with the very creativity they once weaponized. Like the meticulous detail of a stage, you see them building new worlds, layer by layer. You see the name Bill Blass in a glossy magazine. You recognize him instantly, the thoughtful young man from Indiana who sketched in a notebook during every quiet moment. Now, he is a titan of fashion. You look at his designs, the clean lines, the elegant structures, the confident use of fabric. You see a different application of the principles you learned together. In the war, you used canvas and rubber to create a false impression of strength. Blass now uses silk and wool to create an aura of sophistication and power for the modern woman.
But our projections indicate this is the most strategic path forward for the company.
Then you walk into a modern art gallery in New York, and you are stopped in your tracks. Before you is a massive canvas, a simple, stunning shape of pure, brilliant color against a white background. The artist's name is Ellsworth Kelly. You knew him in the 613th Engineer Camouflage Battalion, the visual core of the Ghost Army. Kelly was a master of disruptive patterns, of using abstract shapes and colors to break up the silhouette of a cannon or a truck, making it disappear into its surroundings. Now, you see that same principle distilled to its powerful essence. He has stripped away the object he was hiding and left only the pure, powerful form of the camouflage itself. His art isn't of something, it is something. It's an object, a presence in the room, commanding the space around it. The monumental scale of his work, the way it interacts with the architecture of the gallery, feels intensely familiar. You are not creating small paintings to be hung on a wall. You are creating installations that spanned miles, art that was part of the environment itself, meant to be seen and understood from a distance. Kelly, you realize, never stopped. The unit's alumni are everywhere. Arthur Singer, whose sharp eyes were once trained to spot the flaws in a decoy's paint job, becomes one of the world's preeminent wildlife artists, his illustrations of birds astonishing in their detail and life. You see the work of Jack Macy, who helped design the American Pavilion at the Expo 67 in Montreal.
We can refine this
a grand-scale public spectacle.
The stress points are critical.
You flip through magazines and see advertisements conceived by men you served with, their understanding of persuasion now selling cars and cigarettes instead of military feints. The sheer concentration of talent is a historical anomaly. This one small, secret unit was an incubator for the minds that would go on to define the visual culture of the American century. More than 20 of its veterans would have their work acquired by the Museum of Modern Art, a quiet testament to the creative powerhouse that was hidden inside a military deception unit. This shared secret past shapes your own approach to art. You learned lessons in the fields of France that were never taught in any art school. You learned that art could have immediate, life or death consequences. You learned that the audience's perception is everything, and you learned about the power of the ephemeral. Your greatest creations were designed to exist for only a few days, to serve their purpose, and then to vanish without a trace. This experience leaves you with a certain detachment from the preciousness of the art object. You are more interested in the idea, the impact, the intervention. The irony is not lost on you that the most significant art collective you ever belonged to operated under government secrecy with no manifesto. You often wonder about the psychological toll of that secrecy. For decades, you and your comrades were unable to process your experiences openly. Did this enforced silence push artists like Kelly further into abstraction, allowing them to explore the formal and emotional echoes of the war without depicting it literally? Did your collective experience of crafting such an elaborate, successful lie for a good cause give you a unique perspective on the nature of truth and artifice? These are the mysterious, unanswerable questions that bind you together. You once designed the illusion of an army to protect lives. Now, you might be sketching a logo for a breakfast cereal. The contrast is jarring, a source of dark, private humor. The skills, however, remain remarkably the same. Attract attention, create a narrative, and make someone believe. As you walk down a bustling city street, you see it all. In the bold shapes of a corporate logo, the dramatic flair of a window display, the very design of the buildings themselves, you see the Ghost Army's unseen legacy. The war is over, but its artists are just getting started. Years pass. The world you fought to protect has changed, and so has the art that fills it. You now stand in a city that feels grittier, its post-war optimism layered over with cynicism and decay. The clean lines of the buildings your comrades helped inspire are now streaked with grime, and on these surfaces, in the neglected corners of the urban landscape, a new visual language is exploding. It emerges from the shadows, a raw and unsolicited cry for attention. You see it first on a subway car, a flowing Baroque signature in spray paint, a name you don't recognize. You see it again on a handball court, then on a roll-down security gate. At first it looks like simple vandalism, the chaotic scrawls of disaffected youth. But you look closer. Your eyes, trained to see the strategy behind the spectacle, begin to recognize a pattern, a purpose. You see a campaign. You recognize the tactics because you invented some of them. These anonymous artists, working under pseudonyms, they are creating a phantom army of their own. You remember the core principle of your work in the 23rd, making a force of 1,000 men seem like a force of 30,000. You achieved it through calculated placement and repetition. Now, you see a single artist's tag, their call sign, appearing across an entire borough. They seem to be everywhere at once, their presence magnified far beyond their actual numbers. This is not just about writing a name, it's about creating an illusion of omnipresence and dominance. It's a psychological operation waged with a spray can, and you can't help but admire the audacity. A graffiti king who has his name on every subway line in the city understands strategic saturation just as well as the generals you once served. The environment, you note, is not just a surface, it's an active participant in the work. Like the meticulous detail of a stage, the city itself becomes the theater. A piece of art on a train car isn't static, it travels. It broadcasts its message from the Bronx to Brooklyn, carrying the artist's phantom presence through the veins of the city. A tag on the highest point of a bridge is a declaration of daring, its value determined by its risk and visibility. This is the very definition of site-specific art. You are struck by the ghost-like nature of the artists themselves. They move at night. They work with incredible speed, their techniques born of necessity. The spray can and the stencil are tools for rapid deployment, allowing for a complex image to be rendered in minutes, even seconds. It brings you back to the frantic, moonless nights in France, the whispered orders, the race to inflate a squadron of dummy planes before the sun came up. A quick and clean getaway was a matter of survival then, just as it is for an artist in a train yard now. They are anonymous phantoms, known only by their work, their personal identities concealed behind their chosen names. They are the new secret legion, waging a visual war under the cloak of darkness. It's a familiar story of using ingenuity to outwit a larger, more powerful authority, whether that's the German army or the city's transit police. You remember the ubiquitous "Kilroy was here" graffiti of your own war, the simple cartoon face peeking over a wall that appeared wherever American GIs went. It was a joke, a meme before the word existed, but it was also a powerful piece of psychological warfare. It told allies and enemies alike that we were everywhere, unseen but present. You see these new, elaborate tags as the direct descendants of that impulse. They are a declaration of existence, a defiant scrawl against the blank wall of an indifferent society, a way of saying, I am here, I matter. The debate rages around you. Is it art or is it vandalism? To you, the question feels reductive. You see it for what it is, a battle for perception. It is an unsanctioned, asymmetric campaign to claim public space, to subvert the official, corporate-sponsored messages of billboards and advertisements. These artists are creating their own narrative, writing their own history on the skin of the city. Their work is, by its very nature, ephemeral. A piece that took all night to create can be painted over by the city in an hour. It exists, it makes its statement, and then it vanishes. You, more than anyone, understand the power of an artwork that is not meant to last forever. Your greatest works also disappeared, leaving behind only a changed reality and a classified. The seeds of subversive creativity, planted in the rubble of one war and cultivated on the brick walls of another, have now gone global. The raw, chaotic energy you first witnessed on the subways of New York has matured, refined, into a sophisticated and tactical art form. You watch now as a new generation of commanders takes to the field, their operations spanning continents, their methods honed to a razor's edge. They are the direct heirs of your secret legacy, and their work is the most compelling evidence that the Ghost Army never truly disbanded. It simply evolved. You first see the work of the artist known only as Banksy. It might be a photograph in a newspaper or a viral image shared online, a stenciled rat holding a protest sign, a riot policeman throwing a bouquet of flowers. The image is clever, instantly readable, and perfectly placed. You recognize the tactical brilliance immediately. The stencil, you realize, is the logical endpoint of the techniques you were developing 60 years ago. It is the ultimate tool for rapid, repeatable, high-impact visual deployment. In the 23rd, you needed to create the illusion of hundreds of tanks and trucks. The stencil allows one person to create the illusion of a ubiquitous, recurring idea. It's a method born from the same pressures you faced: the need for speed, the cover of darkness, and the constant threat of discovery. His most profound tactic, however, is his anonymity. In a world obsessed with celebrity and personality, Banksy is a ghost. You, of all people, understand the power of this. Your unit's effectiveness was predicated on its invisibility. Your work was everything. Your names were nothing. By remaining a phantom, Banksy forces the focus entirely onto his work, the message, the intervention, the statement. His absence becomes a presence, a mystery that amplifies the power of the art. He is not an artist creating work, he is an entity conducting a campaign. You see a photo of his piece on the West Bank barrier wall, a young girl in a pink dress frisking a heavily armed soldier. The image is stripped of meaning if it hangs in a gallery. But on that wall, a symbol of division and conflict, it becomes a weapon. It is a psychological operation of the highest order. Then you discover the work of J.R., a French artist-photographer, and you see a different, yet parallel, strategy unfold. Where Banksy is the master of the covert satirical strike, J.R. is the master of the grand, humanistic offensive. He doesn't use stencils. He uses enormous, building-sized photographs of ordinary people. He travels to the favelas of Brazil, the slums of Kenya, the divided neighborhoods of the Middle East, and he collaborates with the local communities to paste these giant portraits onto their own homes, rooftops, and trains. You look at images of his Women Are Heroes project, where the powerful, defiant, and joyful eyes of local women gaze out from the walls of a sprawling Rio favela. The sheer scale of the operation takes your breath away. You recognize the tactic of overwhelming scale instantly. It's a visual version of your sonic deception. You once used a bank of speakers to make the sounds of a few hundred men feel like 20,000, creating a presence that was impossible for the enemy to ignore. J.R. does the same for the marginalized. He takes the people who are often invisible to the wider world, the poor, the forgotten, the residents of so-called dangerous neighborhoods, and makes them monumental. He forces the world to see them, to look into their eyes. It's a stunning act of humanization, a sonic boom for the soul. Like the meticulous detail of a stage, his work transforms the perception of a place. The logistical precision required for these projects, gaining the trust of a community, coordinating hundreds of volunteers, printing and pasting thousands of square feet of paper, reminds you of the complex military-like planning that went into your own large-scale deceptions.
Move them here.
The community
quietly.
members are not just his subjects.
Understood,
they are
sir.
his co-conspirators,
We cannot alert
his
them.
battalion, working together to execute the mission. You realize that Banksy and J.R. are two modern generals of the same phantom army, deploying different tactics to achieve the same goal, the capture of public perception. Both understand that the city is a theater of operations. Both create ephemeral work that is not meant for museums, but for the real world. A Banksy stencil is eventually painted over. A J.R. pasting fades and peels in the rain. This temporary nature doesn't diminish the work, it enhances its power, making it a time-sensitive event, a moment of intervention that lives on in memory and photographs. The work is not the object itself, but the effect it has on the people who see it. It is the purest form of what you are trying to achieve. You are altering enemy strategy with rubber and sound. They are altering social consciousness with wheat paste and spray paint. The line is unbroken. The impulse that led you to inflate a rubber tank in a French forest is the same one that leads Banksy to stencil a rat on a London wall. The creative spark that allowed you to broadcast the sound of a non-existent army is the same one that inspires J.R. to paste a giant eye on a rooftop in Istanbul. The Ghost Army's legacy isn't confined to history books or declassified documents. It is a living, breathing force in the world. It's in every piece of art that reclaims public space, every clever image that challenges authority, and every grand gesture that forces us to see the world and each other a little differently. The army was never decommissioned, it just went global. The final front in this long, strange war is not made of brick or concrete. It has no physical territory to be won or lost. You sit in the quiet of a room, the only light coming from a glowing screen. The new battlefield is here, behind the glass, in the endless, shimmering expanse of the digital world. The canvas is infinite, the audience is global, and the ghosts are more real and more numerous than you could have ever imagined. The legacy of your phantom army has dematerialized, trading its rubber skin for lines of code, and it now haunts the architecture of our interconnected world. You watch a video on your tablet. A user points their phone's camera at a famous public square, and on their screen, a colossal, fantastical sculpture appears, shimmering in the empty space. It is a piece of augmented reality art. It has no mass, no substance. It cannot be touched, yet it is there, a powerful visual intervention that changes the perception of a real-world location. You see in this the perfection of your inflatable tank. You needed truckloads of rubber and compressors to create your illusion of presence. These new ghosts are made of nothing but data. They are decoys that require no physical footprint, phantoms visible only to those with the right lens.
Come on, let's get this thing up!
A secret army hiding in plain sight.
Push it!
It is the ultimate ephemeral installation, an idea given form without substance, and you can only marvel at the elegance of the deception. You scroll through a social media feed, a chaotic river of information. A single, witty image, a meme, flashes past. An hour later, you see it again. Then again, shared by thousands, then millions. It has gone viral. You recognize the pattern as a digital evolution of your sonic broadcasts. You once used massive speakers to project the sound of a single tank column over a 15-mile radius, creating the overwhelming impression of an entire division on the move. A viral meme operates on the same principle of asymmetrical amplification. A single, clever idea launched from a single computer can replicate itself exponentially, dominating the cultural conversation and creating the illusion of a massive, unified consensus. That old Kilroy was here tag you saw scrawled across Europe by your... But as you navigate this new terrain, you feel a growing sense of unease. You see the darker side of your legacy, the tactics you once used to save lives, now twisted into something sinister. You read about troll farms and botnets, vast, automated networks of fake accounts designed to simulate grassroots political movements. It's the Ghost Army playbook, executed with terrifying, algorithmic efficiency. An army of 1,000 inflatable tanks and a handful of speakers is dwarfed by an army of 100,000 phantom Twitter users, all broadcasting the same counterfeit message. The symphony of lies you so carefully conducted to deceive an enemy in wartime has become a constant, deafening cacophony used to deceive a citizenry in peacetime. You see the emergence of deep fakes, videos that make people appear to say and do things they never did, and you feel a profound chill. You once built a fake army. Now, people can build a fake reality. This is the central, troubling mystery of your legacy. The tools of creative deception are morally neutral. The same ingenuity that can draw an enemy division away from a river crossing can be used to erode public trust in institutions, to incite hatred, to tear at the very fabric of a shared reality. You fought a war of illusion to protect a tangible truth. Now, you see illusions being deployed to destroy the very concept of truth itself. It is a sobering realization that the ghost you let out of the bottle a lifetime ago is now a permanent and unpredictable feature of the modern world.
The challenges facing our
Yet,
nation.
even on this treacherous new battlefield,
We must address
you see the
these
artists
issues
fighting
directly
back.
and
They
with
are the new
transparency.
recruits of the 23rd. They use the tools of the digital world to subvert and critique it. They create art using AI, build browser extensions that reveal political bias on news sites, and launch their own satirical, viral campaigns to counter disinformation. They are the culture jammers, the digital interventionists, who understand that this new war of perception must be fought on its own terms. Like Banksy and JR did on the streets, these new artists are claiming territory in the digital commons, creating moments of wit, beauty, and clarity amidst the noise. They are your true heirs, using their imagination not as a weapon of confusion. And so, the long arc of this story comes to a gentle close, a journey that began with the smell of wet canvas and diesel in a war-torn land, and ends here, in the quiet hum of a digital present. You might look at your own hands, seeing not the wrinkles of age, but the faint, phantom memory of hauling rubber decoys and spooling wire in the dark, hands that shaped illusions to protect a generation. The ghosts of that secret army do not haunt us with regret. They simply walk beside us, a quiet reminder that the human imagination is the most subtle and powerful force on Earth, capable of conjuring armies from thin air or sparking a revolution with a single stenciled image. The echoes of their fabricated sounds and their painted lies have faded over the decades, replaced by new noises and new deceptions. But the creative spirit that animated their mission remains. It persists in every piece of art that dares to challenge our view of the world, whispering a timeless truth from the past, that sometimes the most effective way to reveal what is real is to stage a magnificent and audacious lie.